Welcome to the Photos of the Past channel. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. This historical photograph shows a Western hunter, local tribesmen, and a large gorilla they hunted. Colonial-era hunting often contributed to the destruction of wildlife and the exploitation of indigenous communities. This colorized photograph depicts soldiers from the British 55th Division affected by a gas attack during World War I. The blindfolded soldiers are led in a line to safety, highlighting the human tragedy caused by the use of chemical weapons in warfare. This photograph reveals the inhumane conditions endured in the Warsaw Ghetto during World War II. The harsh realities of war, hunger, poverty, and despair are deeply etched into the faces and bodies of its residents, offering a haunting glimpse into their daily struggles. This photograph depicts the use of the kangi, a punishment method in historical China. These wooden frames, fixed around the prisoners' necks, were intended to restrict their movement and publicly humiliate them. In 1954, Anne Hodges became the only recorded person to be struck by a meteorite. The meteor crashed through her Alabama home's roof and hit her hip while she was resting on her couch. This rare incident captured the attention of the scientific community worldwide. This photograph portrays a woman who suffered from radium poisoning after working with radium in the 1920s. Her tragic story became a pivotal moment for establishing worker safety standards and raising awareness about the devastating effects of radiation exposure. This photo was taken during the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising in 1943. German soldiers and collaborators attempted to suppress Jewish resistance, resulting in the deaths of many innocent civilians. The image starkly reveals the horrors of that era. This colorized photo captures Russian soldiers surrendering during World War I. With their hands raised, they stand in rows, symbolizing the harsh realities of war and the massive human toll. This moment reflects the struggles faced by troops on the Eastern Front. This photograph shows a prisoner confined in a small wooden box as a form of punishment in Mongolia. Such penalties were used in the past to enforce social order in harsh natural conditions. This unusual World War II photo shows a goat being used in parachute tests. Animals were often employed in experimental scenarios to ensure safety for soldiers. This rare image highlights the innovative and unconventional approaches of wartime ingenuity. This historic photograph shows a boy selling newspapers with the headline, "Great Loss of Life," following the tragic sinking of the Titanic. For the people of that era, the disaster was a source of great shock and sorrow. This photograph depicts a group of people gathered in the rain, traditionally believed to be awaiting the passage of a saint's spirit. The rain complements this spiritual experience with a purifying ambiance. This photo captures a street vendor promoting his marvelous discovery for pest control. Surrounded by curious onlookers, his dramatic sign and old-fashioned attire highlight a time when street performances were common marketing strategies. This World War II-era photograph shows a Chinese-American worker wearing a sign reading, "Me Chinese, please no Jap." During a time of heightened discrimination against Japanese Americans, such messages were used to avoid misunderstandings. This colorized portrait depicts a young Wyatt Earp, one of the legendary figures of American history, remembered as a lawman, gambler, and a pivotal figure in the legendary Tombstone OK Corral shootout. This historical photo captures the moment an elephant gently lifts its keeper with its trunk during playtime. Dating back to the early 1900s, this image is a powerful symbol of the trust and bond between animals and their caretakers. This photo depicts the traditional hooded capes worn in the Azores. These garments served as both a cultural symbol and protection against the region's weather conditions. This photograph captures an archaeological discovery team navigating rough terrain on horseback to reach a dig site. Such challenging journeys symbolize the determination of individuals dedicated to uncovering traces of history and illuminating the past. This photo from 1865 depicts a mummy trader in Egypt with several ancient mummies. During this period, Egyptian mummies were sold for a variety of purposes, from souvenirs to even being ground into powder for medicinal use. The image highlights a fascinating yet dark chapter of history when ancient remains were commodified for trade. This photograph was taken during the human exhibitions held at Coney Island in the early 1900s. These exhibitions showcased individuals from colonial territories like the Philippines as exotic displays for public entertainment. The Filipino baby in the image is placed in a bamboo-carrying apparatus, surrounded by a curious crowd. This scene highlights the colonial mindset and the dehumanizing attitudes of the era. This photograph, taken in 1888 by Jacob Riis, depicts Bandits Roost at 59.5 Mulberry Street in New York's Lower East Side. It was part of Riis's effort to document the high crime rates and harsh living conditions in poor neighborhoods of the era. The area was notorious as a hub for the criminal underworld and gangs. This iconic photograph is one of the most unforgettable images from the tragedy of September 11, 2001, at the World Trade Center. Captured by Richard Drew, this frame freezes a man in freefall, embodying the terror and helplessness experienced that day. It remains a haunting testament to the events of that fateful morning.